The fish is close enough to see, close enough to feed several hungry people. A stone leaves the hunter's hand and strikes exactly where the animal appears to be. But beneath the surface, the stone slows, the fish turns, and the target vanishes into darkness. The throw looked perfect. The result was another empty splash. From the bank, the fish seems to hang just below the light. Underwater, it is deeper than the eye reports. Water bends the light before it reaches the hunter, while resistance steals speed from anything entering the river. The problem is not simply weak force or poor aim. The problem is that the visible target is not the real target. No voice from that distant age can tell us who first recognized the deception. Yet, at some point, failure became information. A stone became a shaft. A shaft gained a point, and the hunt moved from the surface into the water. How did early humans learn to strike what their eyes could not truly locate? We return to Africa during the Middle Stone Age, roughly 90,000 years ago. Along the Upper Semliki River, changing water levels could create channels, muddy banks, and shallow pools rich with aquatic life. The landscape offered opportunity, but never certainty. Fish could gather in visible water one day and disappear with the current the next. The people in our story are representatives, not known historical individuals. Their actions rebuild a possibility from evidence that survives only in fragments. A stranded fish might be taken by hand. A trapped fish might be gathered from a shrinking pool. But an alert fish in open water was different. Its body was built for acceleration. It could sense disturbance, turn inside its own length, and vanish into mud before a human hand closed around it. The food was abundant, but protected by another physical world. The hunters did not need words for refraction. They did not need a formula. They only needed to notice a pattern. When seen from above, a submerged animal appears closer to the surface than it really is. The greater the angle, the more misleading the image can become. Every attempt aimed at that image teaches the same brutal lesson. Water lies to the eye. Archaeology preserves the past unevenly. Stone can survive. Bone sometimes survives. Wood and plant fiber usually disappear. This means the earliest simple fishing shafts may be invisible to us. What remains is not the beginning of the story, but a scattered collection of durable clues. To understand the missing steps, we must separate evidence from a carefully grounded reconstruction. One possible pathway begins with the most available weapon, a stone. A heavier stone carries more momentum through the air, but it also makes a larger splash. It enters the river with force, then rapidly loses speed. The fish receives warning from pressure and movement. By the time the stone reaches the place where the animal seemed to be, the animal is somewhere else. A short stick changes the problem but does not solve it. The hunter must approach too closely. Each step pushes ripples ahead. Mud shifts underfoot. A raised arm casts a moving shadow. Long before the point enters the water, the fish may already sense danger. The failure reveals another requirement. The tool must reach farther than the hunter's body. A longer shaft creates distance. It allows the body to remain farther from the target and reduces the need for a violent swing. But length introduces its own limits. a crooked branch twists. A heavy shaft reacts slowly. A thin one bends. Selecting, trimming and balancing a useful piece of wood requires judgment before the hunt even begins. Then comes the most important correction. A point aimed at the fish's visible image passes too high. Lower the aim and the point moves closer to the real body. The exact correction changes with depth, viewing angle, water clarity, and the movement of both hunter and fish. There is no single perfect position. Skill grows through repeated comparison between where the strike looked correct and where it actually landed. Aim is only one part of the puzzle. Timing matters. Fish respond to vibration, shadow, current, and sudden movement. A fast overhead strike may advertise itself before it arrives. A long pause can allow disturbed water to settle. Shallow water reduces the distance the point must travel. A controlled thrust may be more accurate than a throw. Each failure removes one bad choice from the next attempt. Even a well-aimed shaft can fail if its end is blunt. A broad tip spreads force across a larger area and can glance away. A sharpened end concentrates that force. Fire hardening may have been used in some wooden tool traditions, but it cannot be assumed here without direct evidence. The safer reconstruction is simpler. Careful scraping, grinding, and testing create a narrower point. At Katanda, archaeologists found something far more sophisticated than a simple sharpened stick. Middle Stone Age deposits produced worked bone objects, including barbed and unbarbed points, associated with abundant fish remains, especially catfish. Published dating placed this technology at about 90,000 years old, or possibly earlier. The finds reveal specialized knowledge, skilled manufacture, and a deep engagement with aquatic resources. They also challenge any old assumption that complex bone technology appeared only much later or belonged to one region of the human world. But the surviving points do not preserve the entire weapon or its complete method of use. Researchers cannot watch the maker attach a shaft, choose a target, or decide whether to thrust, throw, or use a detachable head. The sequence we are following is therefore one possible route to such technology, not a recovered memory, and not a universal invention story. The new shaft reaches farther. The new aim passes below the false image. For the first time, the point meets the fish. Yet contact is not capture. A smooth tip can enter and withdraw along the same path. The animal twists free, leaving only a violent swirl in the shallows. Accuracy has improved, but the tool still loses what it reaches. Bone offers different possibilities. A suitable piece can be scraped, ground, and polished into a narrow point. The work is slow. Too much pressure can split the material. Poor shaping creates weakness. A finish point must be sharp enough to enter, strong enough to resist bending, and shaped so it can be joined to a longer shaft. This is no longer a single object. It is a system. The joint becomes as important as the point. If the head sits off center, the shaft turns. If the binding loosens, force is lost. Plant fiber, hide, resin, or combinations of organic materials may have helped secure ancient points, but these substances rarely survive. The fit must endure acceleration, impact, twisting, and the pull of a struggling animal. What matters in the reconstruction is the principle. Separate materials can be combined, tested, removed, and improved. A barb changes the final moment of the strike. The point can move forward with limited resistance, but the backward-facing projection makes withdrawal more difficult. More barbs may improve grip, yet they also demand greater skill and can weaken a badly designed head. The maker is balancing penetration, strength, and retention. The fishing spear is becoming a specialized technology rather than merely a sharp stick. The next attempt begins before the spear moves. Two people approach from different sides, slowly narrowing the fish's path towards shallow water. The hunter remains still. The surface settles. The apparent fish glides above its true body, while its tail reveals the direction of the next turn. The point lowers, not toward the image, but toward the place experience predicts the fish will be. The thrust is short. The water breaks. The fish turns at the last instant, but this time the point does not slide away. The barb holds. For a heartbeat, no one moves. Then the shaft rises from the river, carrying more than food. It carries a chain of remembered errors. The high aim, the heavy splash, the short reach, the blunt point, and the smooth tip that could not hold. No single improvement created success. Reach without aim was useless. Aim without timing still failed. Penetration without retention lost the catch. The breakthrough came from joining many corrections into one behavior. Archaeology cannot prove that Katanda followed this exact sequence, but the finished bone points show the level of design that early African communities were capable of achieving. A successful tool could make aquatic food more predictable, but never effortless. Water level, season, species, weather, and local knowledge would still shape every hunt. Even so, a fishing spear could turn a brief opportunity into a practiced strategy. Riverbanks and shallow pools were no longer only barriers or places to drink. They could become landscapes to read, revisit, and remember. The deepest advantage may have been knowledge that could move from one person to another. A point can be copied, a knot can be demonstrated, a successful angle can be remembered. One person notices where the strike lands, another changes the head, another learns when to wait. Innovation becomes more powerful when it no longer depends on the original observer. This does not mean one spear transformed humanity, or that every community followed the same path. Similar ideas may have appeared independently beside rivers, lakes, marshes, and coasts. What the technology reveals is a broader human capacity to compare outcomes, combine materials, predict movement, and preserve useful behavior through teaching. Such learning can store many lives of experience inside one familiar gesture. The invention is not only the object, it is the process that allows the object to keep changing. Today, a spoon in a glass still appears to bend at the waterline. The physics has not changed. What changed was the human response. Long before written science, people could learn the behavior of light and water through consequences. They did not need to name the law. They needed to survive it, remember it, and shape a tool around it. So how did early humans learn to strike what their eyes could not truly locate? Probably not through one sudden revelation. More likely, observation accumulated across many attempts. hunters learned that the visible fish was displaced, that water punished speed and noise, and that a useful point had to enter, hold, and remain connected to a controllable shaft. The Katanda points show us an astonishing destination, not every step of the journey. Simpler wooden weapons may have existed earlier and vanished. Other communities may have reached similar solutions without leaving recoverable traces. The true birth of the fishing spear may therefore lie beyond any single place, date, or inventor. One mystery remains. Once a point could hold a powerful fish, how did people prevent the animal from taking the weapon with it? Did the next breakthrough come from a line, a detachable head, or another idea lost to time? The river keeps most of its answers, but every miss leaves a clue.